The 2016 high school lacrosse season is in full swing, and we marvel at the play. The great steal, the outlet, unselfish play right down to the clean look, and the score. But no, feet in the crease, no goal, a mental error. Then there's the great take, the clever fake, he's in close, but no, access denied. But you'll score on LaxWrap. Here we go. Hello again and welcome to week 5 of the LaxWrap. As always, got the Chief, Lane Jaffe here. I'm Chopper Drew Rogers. And Chief, before we get into top plays and to top teams, the zone defense came into play this week, Loyola and Palos Verdes. And let's talk a little bit about zone defense. In fact, just maybe a quick lead in into your your thoughts about a zone defense, and we're going to run a couple clips for everybody.
Sounds good, yeah. I think zone defenses can be effective when used properly. I don't think you can sit in the zone the whole game. I think you use it as a change-up. And watching the PV Loyola game, they stayed in their zone. They held the team. They held PV to 5-6 goals. So maybe that's what they were looking to get at.
Sure. Kind of limit the possessions, like you said. Don't let a team like PV run up and down the field on you, right?
That's right. If their strategy was to limit their possessions, then it's a great strategy. They did what they had to do. Scoring more goals would have been nice.
Okay, so let's break down the Loyola defense. The first thing I want to say is Loyola had a great defensive game, and so we're going to use these as examples. We're not picking on Loyola, right? First play we've got here. Let's take a look at PV in possession in red.
That's right. You got to work on your approach angle.
And you can't hold your stick out there because the stick's pretty thin, right?
That's right. He just uses a good job, resolves, shooting around the screen.
Now you got a man. Everybody's ball watching here. Guy, pretty good shot too, right?
It's a great shot, but you got to make sure that in a zone you still have man principles, and you got to watch your guy. You have 3 guys watching the ball.
Here you got the 3 top guys all watching ball. PV guy walks right down the middle, catch and shoot.
That's right. Like we said, it's man principles in a zone, so you can't just look away.
Okay, so coming back here, I'll just give you my perspective. You've watched, coached, and played a lot more lacrosse than I have. I'm a basketball guy, but in basketball, many times they'd say a zone defense was a sign of weakness. You're not capable of playing the other team man-to-man. But even in a zone, whether it's lacrosse or basketball, it's still man principles in the zone. You're not guarding an area, right? You're guarding
the man in that area, right? If you're not guarding a man, then you're just taking up space. So.
Okay, and so, so what does that mean? See the man on the ball, deny your man the ball, and certainly when you're off the ball, you've got to be looking for the man in your area or a man coming through your area.
That's right. One eye on ball, one eye on man, and you got to make sure that you know where your guy is.
So, last thing I'll say about that, Loyola practices man or zone. They play zone 90-95% of the time. They've got a good zone. That puts the other team at a disadvantage because how many teams even have a good zone defense in practice that they can throw at their first team offense?
That's a great point, Joe. It's tough to show up and all of a sudden play against a zone that's as skilled as Loyola. Actually, their defensive coordinator is probably happy holding to PV to 6 goals, including overtime. That's a good job on the defensive end.
You betcha. In fact, they held PV to 2 goals until midway through the 4th period. In fact, I almost think maybe that's when PV finally figured out the zone. Almost too late, but not quite.
That's right. PV had their chances, though. They had their looks, but maybe that's what Loyola wants to give up with a good goalie back there. PV had a lot of shots. The goalie made a bunch of saves. The zone worked for him.
Great. Okay, that's our analysis of zone defense. We'll be right back after this. Okay, we are ready for this week's top 10 plays. Chief, let's start right with Loyola and Palos Verdes.
This game was filled with top 10 plays. Here we go.
Not much offense in this game except for this guy. He's on his horse. Got to stop the ball, right?
No.
A rare goal in that game. Number 9, speaking of stopping the ball, not this time. The guy splits 2. And then there's your rip.
Resurrection of Oak Park over there.
Now, coming in at number 8, the last line of defense is your goalie. And he makes this save pretty casual.
Kick save and the outlet.
And we always talk about the extra pass. Watch the unselfish play here. That guy could have shot it. No, there's a better shot.
It's unselfish lacrosse.
Let's get to some more tenacious D. There's your save. And watch the battle at X for the ball. D-man's going to come away with it.
Pole to pole to pole.
And talk about pole rip. Look at that.
High to low, Matt Nagy. I like it.
Next, we go to the patchy tundra of Peninsula High School.
On the doorstep.
I talk about undressing the goalie, but he still had his Under Armour on, and he made that save.
Denied.
And then, of course, get it out for transition. Now, speaking of goalies, walking out to midfield. Whoops. Pass got picked. Can you get any more open than this?
Oh, I'm glad he didn't throw a fake, though.
Now, next up, this long pole, he's smooth. And watch him thread the needle. Call him the seamstress.
Oh, Dyson.
Now, we know Palos Verdes' defense is really gelled. You can ask Loyola about this, but when your interior passing is this good, you're going to score on anybody.
That's one part.
Now, next play up. Most weeks this would be number one. Watch the great extension on the catch. Watch the spin move.
Oh, those are great hands by Austin Loai and the backhand.
Box lacrosse backhand. Why isn't that number one? Well, here's why. Closing seconds, Oak Park and Agora, senior captain defenseman Brandon Byer. He's going to take it all the way. How many times has he shot before this? None. First career shot, game winner, senior captain.
8.76 left.
And that was Byer's first career shot, first career goal, and it was a biggie.
100% that kid's shooting.
We'll be back with top teams in just a minute. We are back, and this is the section of the show where we talk about top teams, although we've gotten away from top 10 teams. Chief, we're halfway through the season. We're pretty much done with the preseason play. We're in the league. Give me some teams that are coming on strong, movers and shakers that we might not have talked about previously.
Sure, I think we got to keep an eye on Oak Park. Beginning of the year, they lose 2 Division I players to go down to Torrey Pines and play. So it took them a while to find their identity, but they're well coached, they're hungry, they're young, they're skilled. They just beat Agora by 1, which is pretty impressive. So keep an eye on Oak Park. They're doing good things over there.
And speaking of Agora, that has to be the 5th or 6th game they've lost in overtime, at the gun, or whatever. I mean, they played a brutal schedule.
That's right. Most they've lost by, I think, it's 2 goals. So, they're right where they need to be, and they'll figure out how to win those games.
Key for them is get into the playoffs, because they'll make noise if they do.
That's right.
Okay, another team you wanted to talk about was Oaks Christian.
I think Oaks Christian is doing some good stuff. I think they're great defensively. I think they're finding the rhythm offensively. I think they may shake some things up right now.
Okay, and lastly, let's get to those top 3 teams. We've talked about them all year. Maybe talk about, before you get to the top 2, talk a little bit about Westlake.
Well, Westlake we keep talking about, but I think they were off this week, so we didn't get a chance to see them. But they have the athleticism to play with anybody, so still worth talking about. And that's our producer's pick, so he makes us talk about them every week.
And our producer sits down there and watches the film, and he keeps saying they're big and they're beasts. And there's an old saying: when everybody else gets tired, they'll still be big, right? Well, right now they're going to have to come up big and win a couple big games.
Yep, we'll see. League play coming up.
Top 2 now. Let's talk about those 2. And hey, they played. You said the winner of that game should be the 1 seed, right?
That's right. They worked it out on their own for 45 minutes, 46 minutes. It looked like the Cubs had it, but a king cannot be dethroned so easily. PV managed to take care of business.
So when you think about that game, Loyola led the whole way. Halfway through the 4th quarter, I believe, they're up 5-2. PV cuts away at it, scores the tying goal with less than 10 seconds.
2 seconds left on the clock.
And then they win it in overtime. So if I'm Loyola, I'm thinking, hey, that doesn't prove a thing because we were winning. We were ahead for most of the game. I wouldn't call it a fluke, but PV almost ran out of time. So PV feeling good because they got the comeback win.
You know what? You played the full 48 minutes plus overtime. So even if you win for 47 minutes, you got to play the whole 48. So Loyola should feel good about it. They held the team to 5 or 6 goals, including overtime, and they were right there. But winning games, finishing games, I think that'll be their motto for every drill they do. Finish the drill. So see what they can do. But right now I have PV at number 1. They won the game. Loyola scratching at number 2. You would think Loyola would want the number 2 though. Just no pressure on them. That way they could be the hungrier team. But
absolutely.
So that's what it'll be.
So the other thing we should talk about, I mean, Loyola's got to feel good about holding the PV to 5 goals in regulation. PV's defense has really come on strong. We've seen a lot out of Jarrett Jones. He's a human highlight film. Talk a little bit about PV's goalie, because it sure seems like he's starting to tip the balance for them.
Right, you got a great goal in Connor Jongawatt. He sat for 3 years behind D. McCann, who went to Duke. Connor Jongawatt's 6'2", he's slimmed out, but he's still got those big shoulders. That kid is good, composed, makes the big save, gets the ball out. That kid could be a difference maker once we get to the playoffs.
So, and the last thing we'll say about that is many times when you get teams who are evenly matched up in the playoffs with a lot riding on it, it can come down to one play or one player, and that could be your goalie.
That's right. It's going to come down to goalies, and luckily, Loyola has a great goalie, proven. PV has a great goalie. Harvard Westlake has a great goalie. Agora has a great goalie. I can go on and on and on. There's some great goalies out there right now.
You bet. And that may be one of the areas I've seen most improvement over the last 6 to 8 years is these goalies make stops, they run the defense, they get the outlet pass. Some of them even score goals if they play for Peninsula. And it's been a good year for goalies.
That's right. The goalie will be the decider in the finals, guaranteed.
One note for our viewers, we're getting a lot of email chatter, which we love. The top play this week, the number 1 play, was sent in by Oak Park. So if you see it, you want it, send it to us and we'll try to get it in there.
That's right. Share the love. We'll spread it.
Anything else?
That's it, man. Looking forward to league play.
Getting into league play starting in a week. By the way, Palos Verdes now heads up north. We're hoping to have film of their game against De La Salle next week. And that should do it.
That's great.
I'm the Chopper. He's the Chief. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.